Wait a second. For the translators, find us.
Oh, translators. Okay. I'm going to
And
let you do this.
now, so welcome everyone. Welcome, amazing translators all around the world who are right now translating us. I hope you all found us. And today, our guest in Exponentializing is Miss Diva Diaz. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you, Diva. And thank you for asking me to be your host.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on with me.
And Diva, you have a phenomenal topic today. I personally cannot wait to hear a lot about it. And you chose the topic energetic awareness.
That's right.
So
Energetic
this is your
awareness.
say.
Yeah, it's probably not a topic that can be covered in 30 minutes, but I am gonna do my best. I'm so grateful because when I was invited to do this series, and we were looking at what topics everyone wanted to do with exponentializing, I started to ask myself, what is the one topic that I enjoy, look at all the time, and that I know can create so much for everybody? And this was the thing that came up: energetic awareness. And I mean, if any of you who are watching have been doing access consciousness, or have done some access, or maybe you're just starting to check it out, one of the things that we look at that's kind of at the base of everything pretty much is energetic awareness that you have about everything. Now, one of the keys to exponentializing your energetic awareness is, number one, to acknowledge that you have it, acknowledge that it even exists. Okay, because so often we're taught that you have to figure things out. You have to be able to see in your mind what something's going to look like before you choose it. You have to be able to visualize. You have to feel it. If you get a bad feeling, if you get a good feeling. And we're all kind of going with the feelings, with the images, with the working out in our head. And that kind of can work to a certain degree. But my question is, how much greater could your life be if all that you truly did was follow the energy with everything? Okay, which means not following your mind, not following your limitations, because that's all your mind gives you, actually, but truly following what's true for you. So what I'm going to do in the next 30 minutes is hopefully give you some tools to make that a lot easier. And these are my favorite tools that I use every day, and I'm relentless with using them. Like, I'm obsessive with using them. So the first thing that I wanted to look at with you all, whether you've been doing access for like 20 centuries or however long, it doesn't matter, because every time this topic comes up, to me personally anyway, it's something, I get something new out of it. Now, my question to you is, truth, are you an infinite being? Now, this isn't a trick question, okay? Let's play with the energy, because what I like to do is I really like to navigate energy, okay? So if there were no right or wrong answer with anything that you asked, what do you get? Yes or no? Okay. Now, most of you will get yes. And if you got no, then it's just because somewhere you've decided that you're not. So anywhere that you've decided that you are not an infinite being, will you destroy and create all of that?
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, fun and buckle, nine shorts, boys and meows. Now, what do I mean by infinite being? I mean a being that encompasses infinite space, not a finite being that only has 10 choices, has rent to pay, has like, a bit of a bigger belly than they would like, and, wants to go out partying at the weekend. I don't mean that. I mean, like, I'm talking about the problems that we have, but I mean an actual infinite being that has infinite possibilities. Now, I'm going to ask you another question. As an infinite being, how much space do you encompass? A little? A lot? Or infinite? Now, if you try and find the outside edges of you, not your body, but you, the being, can you actually find them, or are you there everywhere that you look? You're there everywhere that you look, right? Now, you couldn't do that if you were a finite being. You can only do that if you're an infinite being. Okay, now the reason I want to start with that is because that's going to be one of the first steps to acknowledging that you are so much more than your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, all of the stuff that comes up for you every day. You are so much more than that, okay? What if you truly are an infinite being that encompasses this infinite space? Now, if you encompass infinite space, right, this sounds like a trick question, and it kind of is. Then let me ask you something and see what you get. Are you bigger than this planet? Yes or no? Yeah. Now, this reality, which is made up of judgment, polarity, right and wrong, limitations, what you could be, what you should be, what you can never achieve, blah, 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 government, politics, the coronavirus, all of that. Is that reality bigger than this planet? Yes or no? Not so much. No. So are you inside of this reality, or is this reality inside of you? This reality is inside of you. Okay, so this is step number one. Now, notice how I'm not trying to convince you of any of this. We're just asking questions to get to each thing. Now, the reason I'm doing it, and sorry if it seems like baby steps for those of you who've been doing Access forever, like me, I've been doing Access for 11 years. I still do this with myself. Why? Because I know myself, and I can trust that I am going to think about everything in the most minute and minuscule detail. And if I don't actually ask myself the questions to get the energetic awareness, I'm just going to go round and round in my head forever. Okay, so this is also about acknowledging what works for you, and also acknowledging where you are right now in that moment. For me, when I start freaking out, I start worrying about things. Have you ever noticed that when you worry about things, you don't really think you're worrying, you just are convinced that that's the situation, that you're right?
Yeah.
Right. So the key to this is, number one, ask yourself, okay, so truth, would an infinite being choose this? And just kind of go to that space, because energetically, I don't know if you guys noticed, but is there a little bit more space in your world after we ask those questions? And there's no right or wrong. It's okay if there's not. And usually when you ask yourself those questions that get you to recognize who you actually be, who you are, you might start to have a little bit more space. Now, what does that show you? That that's actually the space of you. So anything that doesn't match that space is not you, okay? It's a limitation, it's a judgment, it's a conclusion, it's whatever you want it to be, okay? So that's the first thing, because in order to exponentialize your energetic awareness, you have to first of all really be accessing your energetic awareness and acknowledging that you have it. It's like you can't really exponentialize something that you haven't acknowledged that you have, because all you'll do then is exponentialize the judgments and the conclusions that you have about it. So how many judgments and conclusions do you have about energetic awareness that keep you from exponentializing it? And everything that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, bottom, buck, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. Now, I know, and I keep apologizing for this, but I feel like I'm doing baby steps, but this is what I do with myself all the time. Not because it's like, let's jump back to the beginning, but because the foundational tools in Access really are foundational for a reason. They are the foundation from which you can create a reality of like that's beyond this reality of no limitations, or you can continue with the foundation of conclusion, judgments, projections, expectations, and create more of that. Okay, so what I'm interested is in this one, where we're actually really acknowledging what we're aware of energetically. Now, the other huge part to this, I haven't even got to what I want to talk to yet. I'm just giving like the intro bits. But the other huge part to this is the light and heavy tool. Okay, this to me is like my bread and butter. I would probably be dead if it wasn't for light and heavy. Okay, now, for those of you who don't know, anything that is light is something that is true for you. Anything that is heavy is something that is a lie. It's not true. Okay, now, I just have to say, it's not always so black and white, okay? There are infinite colors, shades, textures, tones to light and heavy. Why? Because as an infinite being, do you receive everything as a black and white thing, or do you receive a lot more information than you've been acknowledging? A lot more, okay? So sometimes it is really, really obvious. Oh, this is heavy, this is light, and sometimes it's a bit of a mixture, okay? So I'm going to give you some of the questions that you can use to start to have clarity when you have that. Because the more you ask those questions, the more you're going to actually exponentialize the awareness of that and not the judgment or the conclusion of it, okay? I'm not sure if is that making sense, Fatima?
Yeah, you're awesome. You're awesome. I'm just like, wow.
Okay, cool, thank you. I'm just very weird talking and not seeing who's on. But cool. So what I remember years and years ago when I first started Access, I said to Dane, I was like, can you help me with something? I cannot do light and heavy. I just don't even get it. I don't feel it the same way. Everyone's like, I feel heavy, I feel light. And that's when he said to me, well, what if there's more like colors and shades and textures to light and heavy? And then what I recognized as well is, what if light and heavy is also just an awareness that you have? Okay, now I know that that may sound a little esoteric, like, oh, great, an awareness. How the heck is that supposed to help me? Well, let me tell you, because what if you don't have to only feel it in your body? You can feel it in your body, but what if it's also just a sense that you get? Like for me, anything that's heavy makes me want to take a really long nap for like 7 days, makes me want to lie on the couch and watch Netflix for like 10 months, makes me want to no longer work ever again and just give up on my life, gets me depressed, gets me cranky with everyone. That's something that's heavy, but I wouldn't necessarily classify that as a heavy feeling. It's just like this kind of, great, my life is crap kind of thing. Okay, it's a sense that will always be like, oh, I'm now in an either or universe. I only have either yes or no, or right or wrong. I can only have two options in life, or maybe 5 or 10, and my whole world kind of just contracts, and I'm like, oh, great. That's something that's heavy. Okay, for me, something that's light is something that will just give me a sense of relaxation, where I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's not like, yay, I'm so alive, like I'm so happy and the fairies. It's not any of that. It's not like these fantastical kind of like ideas that we have about what light and heavy is. It's literally, it's like a whisper of awareness. Okay, for me, something that's light, even if it's like, oh, my house is on fire, will give me a sense of peace. Not because I like that my house is on fire, but because that's what's occurring, which then means that I can exponentialize that energetic awareness by being present with that and going, okay, so what action do I require now? Okay, so I just want to start off. I've been talking for about ages, but anyway, but I want to kind of start off by saying that, because once you have that, okay, you can use that light and heavy tool as your compass through everything. And I literally use it as my compass as much as I can. Other times I forget and I think I'm pathetic and limited, but then I'm like, hold on, that makes me feel like I want to go and hibernate. That must be heavy. That's not me. What's my reality here? Okay, so those two things. Now, with having, yeah, please.
Can you say more to the question, what is my reality here? Kind of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. Well, so this is the thing. So what if your reality is something that you have an energetic awareness of, but you don't have an answer for? Okay. Now, when I say that, it can be like, oh yeah, cool, but wait, what? So let me give you an example. So how often when you ask, okay, what would I like to choose here? Do you instantly start to think of all the ways you would like it? I would like these 10 outcomes. I would like it to not be this outcome. So I'll kind of put that to one side and I'll try and put all my energy into these positive pictures that I've decided that I want, or into these results. Yeah, that's my reality. Okay, now let me just hold it there because that's my reality, right? Notice the energy of that. Does that give you that peace and relaxation of something that's light? Not really, okay? So what if anything that you can kind of, because the thing is, right, very often when you are seeing the pictures of what the future can be and you're trying to solidify them, that's actually just a conclusion. Okay, so all the futures that you are trying to solidify by concluding them, thinking that that's going to bring them into existence, will you destroy and create all of that? Right now, good and bad, bottom buckle, 9 shorts, boys and meows. Now, it doesn't mean that that's not a possibility. It could be, but would you allow it to mutate and change? It's kind of like seeing, oh, I'm going to get married. Okay, it's going to be on a sunny day and there's going to be olive trees and there's going to be whatever. And then you try and solidify that. And then the universe is like, great, this is definitely going to happen. The only thing is it's going to be slightly cloudy. And you're like, no, it's not. It's going to be sunny. And the universe is like, no, it's going to be a bit cloudy, but everything else will be the same. And you're like, no, it's not actually, because I've concluded this is the future that I'm going to have. So you had the energetic awareness once, but you didn't allow it to mutate just slightly to what the universe could deliver and what would be great timing and what you could receive and what everyone else could receive easily. You've now fixated on this one thing, which makes it so that when you start asking, okay, so is this going to happen? Is this still going to create what I desire in my life? Is it's going to create greater? That thing might not necessarily always read as a yes, or might not necessarily always be liked. Why? Because you're actually asking about the conclusion and not about the possibility of it. So with that thing of what is my reality, when you have this awareness, okay, this is a possibility. I could get married on a really sunny day and there's going to be whatever, olive trees and all of the rest. Keep asking every day, okay, so what is my reality with this? And if you do recognize, oh, I've decided it's going to look a certain way. Okay, cool. So everything that is pock and pod all the conclusions I have, and what would be my reality here? Maybe your reality is one of receiving way more than you thought was possible. Have you ever considered that? Or have you decided that your reality is going to be one that's lesser than what is possible? So everywhere that you've decided that your reality is always going to be less than what is truly possible because you're so messed up, will you destroy and create all of that? Right and wrong, good and bad, one vocal, 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. Yeah, because the other thing is, well, so many things to that I don't know that I have the time to go into, but does that assist a bit?
It is fantastic. We have people watching and everyone is like, thank you so much. And from Auckland and Saudi Arabia and what else is possible. So you're doing perfect. Thank you, Diva.
Awesome. I'm very grateful. And this is, again, like, this is kind of like a quick intro on the subject, but the other thing that I did want to look at too is energetic awareness is such a gift, you guys. It is such a freaking gift that very often, because we can't figure it out, how much do we decide that it's more of a curse than a gift? So everywhere that you have decided and concluded that your energetic awareness is a curse and not a gift, will you destroy and uncreate all of that, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pop, 9 shorts, boys, meals. So guess what? If you've decided it's a curse, and when you walk in a crowded area and it's difficult because you're aware of so many people, or when you wake up in a city, or when you wake up and you're aware of entities or whatever, and you've decided that that's too much, guess what's the only thing that you have now allowed yourself to receive? The curse of it, and never the gift of it, because your point of view creates your reality. So everything that is and everything that brings up, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. One of the tools of access consciousness is everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. So what if, rather than it being a curse and being something that is difficult and too much to handle, and by the way, everywhere you've decided that, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. What if instead you go to question? Okay, the question is going to be the one thing. It's going to be like the lock not the lock, the key. I love how I do these hand motions, thinking that you will know what I'm doing exactly. 3 syllables, 2, whatever. Anyway, it's going to be the thing that unlocks it from being a limitation into a possibility always. Why? Because when you ask a question, you are creating a physical alteration of reality into what you're asking. Why? Because you're pathetic, or because you're really potent? Because you're really potent, and because you don't have the capacity to create, or because you as a being create by request. Yeah, that's what you as a being do. That's our natural state, if you allow it to be. So everywhere that you've decided that you create by doing and concluding and judging, and not by request, will you destroy and uncreate all of that? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyond. So in order to have your energetic awareness, you have to start asking a question for everything. Because here's the other thing. I like to compare energetic awareness to the gift of sight, for example, right? You will have eyes. I'm guessing most of you that are on here are not blind, unless you've got a really friendly person that got you onto Facebook and is just letting you hear the audio of this. But even if you are blind, you've got the gift of sound. You've got some kind of sense, okay? So I'm taking this in a very weird direction.
I'm just giggling. I love it. Just for your, that you know.
So, right, the gift of sight. So when you walk down the street, can you filter out the things that you don't want to see?
No.
Can you filter out like the dog poo that you see on the pavement? No, you have to work really hard to, but then you end up stepping in it. Okay. Can you filter out like the, where somebody's puked, or like sorry, I'm taking this into a bit of a disgusting area now, but
You know, world.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the world that we live in. It's like you walk around, you see the trees, you see the dog poop, you see the gorgeous flowers, you see all of it, right? Now, do you see everything in one color or in all the colors? Pretty much all the colors, right? Now, when you walk down the street and you're seeing all of that stuff and you're seeing people and you're seeing cars and you're seeing all these different elements, do you then decide that all of those things are relevant to you? Do you go, oh my God, look, there's a piece of dog poo. That means I must be completely messed up. What can I do with it? Shall I move it? Shall I sniff it? Shall I clean it up? Shall I like pat it flat on the floor? No, you just walk by because it's just the gift of sight. Like you're just seeing stuff, right? You're still going for where you're going. What would it be like to have that with your energetic awareness? What makes you think that energetic awareness means that it's all relevant to you? Okay, so this is a really, really key thing. So number one, everywhere that you've decided that anything that you're aware of energetically means it's relevant to you, when it's not, that dog turd on the road is not relevant to you. It's just there. It's just information that you're receiving because you have the gift of sight, just like you have the gift of awareness. Everything that is, we destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So the key thing with this is to, because our energetic awareness is not something that we're really taught to develop or strengthen as a muscle, we will instantly, very often think, oh, that's relevant to me. Oh, I feel heavy. Oh, now I'm, upset. Now I'm sad. Now I'm tired. For every single thing you want to ask, what am I perceiving here? Okay, what am I perceiving? Because as an infinite being, if you encompass infinite space, do you think you might be aware of more stuff than just what's around you a couple of meters? Yeah, just a tiny bit, okay? So your energetic awareness doesn't distinguish between what's relevant to you and what's not. It's going to give you all the information to whatever degree you're willing to receive it, okay? So with that, is that making sense so far?
Yeah, people are like, wow, this is huge. And yeah.
Okay, cool. So thank you. I don't know why I can't see any comments. Anyway, I'm on my phone, sorry guys, because
I can show them. Try one comment. Do you see that now, the comment?
Oh yeah, I can see that one. Yeah, I was getting into stories that awareness is not easy and it's a curse. Oh, nice. And you just broke that algorithm. Cool. How does it get better than that?
Question here. Here, can you talk more about the awareness of the future possibilities and
possibilities? Yeah, and creating different reality with that. Yeah, absolutely. And before that, I just want to say another piece that kind of leads into it. And sorry guys if I'm jumping around. I have an autistic mind, so I jump around in lots of different directions. But okay, so the reason to talk about that thing of like when you're walking down the street, do you make stuff relevant to you, is because of this, okay? And I have done this dynamically in my life, which is why I want to talk with you guys about it, because even looking at this is something that's given me so much freedom. And I'm so infinitely grateful for the tools of Access Consciousness, and for Gary and Dane, Brendon, Simone, everyone. Because what will happen as well is, because you are aware energetically of everything, you may be on your computer sending an email and suddenly you're aware of something. Somebody's depressed in Syria. And you pick up that depression, you go, oh my God. And then you look at your computer and you go, well, it must be to do with my computer and this email because that's what I've got directly in front of me. I'm now depressed about this email. I clearly hate the person I'm emailing. And you start to create this bullshit future based on that conclusion, rather than asking, what am I perceiving? Not to know, oh, somebody's depressed in Syria, but to ask the energy, hey, what is this? And the energy goes, yep, that's right, it's a perception. And then it can shift. Okay, how much of what you're perceiving are you actually then concluding that it's got to do with the thing that's directly in front of you when it doesn't? It's like being in your house asleep and then hearing a dog bark outside and deciding that that's got something to do with you. Does it? No, you're just hearing it. It's got nothing to do with your sleep. It's got nothing to do with what you're dreaming. It's got nothing to do with anything. It's just a dog barking. Now, the reason I say that is because it is the amount of times that I personally have been maybe, having a conversation with somebody and then this energy comes up, and it may not even have anything to do with the conversation, but it might be that somebody starts arguing in the apartment next door and there's that energy of like, and then I start being aware of it. And because I don't ask a question, what is this? Is this mine? These are the ones you want to ask. What is this? Is this mine? What am I perceiving? Because I don't ask that. I instantly go, this is me. And now I must be really annoyed by the fact that I am making pasta and talking to you at the same time. See how annoying this is? And I start to create a fight. Okay, I hadn't actually done that, but let's imagine that I did. That's what we do, okay? Like, we take the thing that's directly in front of us and we think that it's got to do with this energetic awareness that we're having. Now, sometimes it may and sometimes it may not. But again, if anything is remotely heavy, it's not you, okay? So that's your indication, that's your compass. How many of you are buying the heaviness of all those things as though because it's so heavy, it's a really big limitation, and the heavier it is, the more limited you are in that area and the more of a problem it is, so you've got to work even harder to solve it. What if it's the opposite? What if the heavier it is, it's because it's so far away from your reality that in order to even hold on to it, you've got to work so hard, which is part of what makes it super, super heavy too. So everything that is, and everywhere that you have been concluding that all of that heaviness has to do with you, when it probably doesn't, we destroy and break all of that. Yes. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. Now, we haven't even got to the exponentialize bit yet, and I know we've only got 4 minutes left, but this, once you've got this, right, this foundational thing, that's when any awareness that you have can be exponentialized from possibility. So in answer to that question about the future, from possibility and not from that limitation. Because if I'm making pasta and I'm talking with my friend on the phone, and the neighbors are arguing and I pick up that arguing energy and I don't ask whose is it, I have now started to create a future where I think that I hate pasta, or I hate my friend, or I hate my friend eating pasta, whatever. You link it in the craziest ways, okay? So I just want to give you guys that, because how much of the upset that you've had maybe in relationships, with regards to money, with regards to work, with regards to anything in your life, how much of that is actually perhaps your awareness of something else? It might be your awareness of something that's coming up in the other person's world. Maybe it's an awareness of something that's coming up for you. It's not even relevant to what's going on. Maybe it's the neighbors fighting, maybe it's a dog barking, but it's not until you ask that question, what am I perceiving, that you're going to get that clarity, okay? Which is why then we start to create these futures based on lies and conclusions that we've decided we're having an energetic awareness of, and we're not, we're having a judgment of. So everything that is, and everywhere that you've done that and then thought that you were messed up when you weren't, you were just aware. Will you destroy and uncreate all of that? Yeah. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds.
Diva, people are like, wow, this is amazing. Thank you, Diva. And this is opening so much awareness. And thank you. And so much gratitude here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Elena saying, wow, brilliant example of heavy and asking a question. And Facebook user is saying, Diva, for me, this is deeper dive. Wait, I will put it here. Diva, for me, this is deeper dive into upgrade to who does this belong to. Got even more clarity.
Yeah, and that tool, oh my God, I love that tool so much. I do, so please check it out. Dane has an amazing video on YouTube about it. Watch it like 100 times, because every time, you know, I'm sure you'll get something greater out of it. But I did want to say one other thing, which I then forgot. What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh yeah, okay, so let's talk a little bit about the exponentializing in the last minute. Now, all of these tools, the light and heavy, the asking the question, the recognizing that you're an infinite being, the really recognizing that everything that you perceive doesn't necessarily have to do with directly what's in front of your face. Your awareness is so much more. All of that starts to build the muscle of you trusting you. Because how often do you then not trust you if you followed your awareness in a weird way and just concluded that it's got to do with that thing in front of you? And then you go, oh, well, that was incorrect, or it's still so heavy, I must have been wrong, that I liked pasta and talking to my friend. You know, and we come to all these weird conclusions. What would happen if you started to really, really trust you? Would that be something that can actually exponentialize your energetic awareness? So the more that you are actually able to follow the energy and recognize, okay, so this is heavy, so what's my reality here? What do I know here? What am I perceiving here? Is this relevant to me? Is this relevant to this situation? Ask the question about relevance, because that's going to be key every single time. And the more you do that, the more you begin to trust you, which then begets more ease, more awareness, more of everything, and more trust, of course.
Thank you. We're at the end of this. I could have listened for another 3 hours, because it's really fabulous. It's the basic tools, but hearing it from you right now opens up again a new space. And I'm so grateful, and thank you for you and everyone who's watching, and for the translators here. And
thank you everyone, and everyone who watched, and you Fatma, and translators, and to all the other amazing facilitators who run this series too. I'm very, very grateful.
And tomorrow we have Simone Milasas on exponentializing. So everyone, 10 a.m. set, you're invited to continue with us here. And thank you so much, Diva. And mwah.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.